Keeping safe at night or when you're out on public trails is something people should keep in mind. With violent crimes increasing in the Waterloo region, you can never be too safe. Stephen Ward gets insight from the police and what to look for.
Recent violent incidents such as the beating death of Brian Foy or the disappearance of Kitchener resident Catherine Todd and the numerous muggings in the region have brought concerns over personal safety into the forefront of the community. Constable Ron Nichols of the Waterloo Regional Police shares some tips on staying safe.
Things you can do to help you be aware of your environment around you is when you're walking down the street, try to avoid walking down the street with your head down texting. Try to avoid walking down the street with headphones on with music blaring, because then you can't hear the things that are happening around you. It's just being aware of your environment. When you're walking, you want to walk confidently and purposefully. You want to try to walk in well-lit areas. For women, if you're carrying a purse, you want to try to have the purse over your shoulder, not in your hand. You never want to be walking with your hands full. You want your hands free.
Many of us walk on paths like this every day. We walk here by ourselves, we walk here in groups, but it's not always safe. So how do we stay safe? We've got some tips from the Waterloo Regional Police on how to stay safe, but that might not be enough for the average person. Maybe something else is needed. Maybe something like self-defense and learning how to protect yourself. We found out more.
Krav Maga in Waterloo teaches a variety of self-defense classes starting as early as 4 years old, teaching people how to defend themselves from a variety of attacks they may encounter in their everyday life. Chief Instructor Aubrey Brawley still shares the same belief that the police do when it comes to staying safe.
You know, things happen here. Things happen in Waterloo. They happen in Kitchener. So, you know, a lot of it is just prevention by awareness, you know, being aware of something. You know, having a little bit of skills, knowing where to be and where not to be and what to do in a certain situation and how to get out of that goes a long way.
If you'd like to see additional tips, the Waterloo Regional Police encourage everyone to visit their website at wrps.on.ca. So remember, stay aware, remain confident, and try to travel with a friend or a group. For Spoke TV, I'm Stephen Ward.
Abortion has been a recent controversy in the House of Commons and has rattled people who are for and against it. Meredith Taylor speaks to both sides to find out where people stand.
This past January 28th was the 25th anniversary of abortion being decriminalized in Canada. Today, over 25 years later, abortion is still the subject of debate, with forms of protest happening in our community. KW Right to Life President Jane Richard explains the prayer vigil she held outside of Freeport Hospital this past fall.
40 Days for Life is a prayer vigil, essentially, and what we had across the street from Freeport Hospital, which is our abortion facility in this area, we had a group of people meet there hourly for most of the day, about 12 hours throughout the day. And that's all they did was pray for unborn babies that were being aborted at that hospital.
Waterloo Region's Planned Parenthood Communications Officer Shannon Day feels as though Jane had a different motive than prayer.
I think that a lot of people of faith would be surprised to think that God will only attend to your prayers if you go close to the thing you're praying about. I think if it were genuinely just a prayer, Jane and her supporters could pray in their churches and synagogues and living rooms and, you know, pray with their friends. Clearly, it's not just about praying. Clearly, it's about being seen at a particular place.
Shannon believes there are false health risks associated with abortion.
There are other false stereotypes about, that associate abortion with depression, associate abortion with breast cancer. We know that there's actually no empirical support for those associations. The evidence is abundant that safe, accessible abortions actually save lives and reduce morbidity. And so if you really want to support life, then safe, accessible abortions are the way to go.
There are huge psychological effects, and statistics say that 85% of women suffer some psychological distress, a deep sense of loss, depression. A lot of women act out, and also their partners, drugs, alcohol, to try to numb themselves from the reality of abortion. Any girl that I've ever spoken to, or woman that wants to have an abortion and has made their mind up that they want an abortion, they're never happy. The overall effect is a 30% increase of cancer, and especially breast cancer.
Jane hopes one day abortion laws will be reversed.
You know, this past year we had motion 312 by our local politician Stephen Woodworth here, and the motion spoke to the examination of an old law that stated that a baby was not a human being until the moment of complete birth. I don't think there are many people that would argue that. But what they are arguing is a woman's right to choose. Can we win all of the women that are in distress that we speak to, over 30 a month? No, we can't. But we can certainly try. I mean, we're not trying to down people for the way what they have done, but what we're saying is that there's a better way.
We're not saying that there aren't ethical issues associated with the question. What we are saying is that women are perfectly capable of making difficult ethical choices, that women are intelligent and have the capacity for reasoned deliberation and will do a better job making the right choice in those circumstances than any law could.
For Spoke TV, I'm Meredith Taylor.
Small-town living can be a comical idea, but what kind of treasures can be found? Kate Childs looks at small-town living in Troy, Ontario.
On the outskirts of Cambridge, between Hamilton and Brantford, resides the small town of Troy. With a population of only 70 people, it is one of the smallest communities in Ontario. Troy was founded in 1810, and many buildings are still standing.
Such as the old Troy Schoolhouse, built in 1878. It is one of the last remaining schoolhouses in southern Ontario.
Don Zver, a potter in Troy, contributed to the rebuilding of the schoolhouse in the last 20 years.
We asked people to donate money to sustain the schoolhouse because it's the last remaining wooden schoolhouse in southern Ontario that predates 1900. So I want the place to be a place that the next generation can enjoy.
In 1840, Troy was the largest village in the Beverly Township, with over 200 villagers and 20 businesses, such as the Troy Post Office, General Store, and Troy Church. Mount Carmel Church was built in 1873. Today it has approximately 150 members, most from the surrounding area. Fairchild Creek runs through the village, which used to act as a mode of transportation. The original settlers came here because of the water source and prime farming land. The livery and barn are still standing, now converted into homes. The main business in Troy today is Don Zver Pottery and Cafe Troy.
People out here were very supportive of the pottery and the cafe, so it was good. You know, it was a good place to be.
Troy will never be the large village it once was, but it certainly holds its own. For Spoke TV, I'm Kate Childs.
Many people would do anything to help their own child, but what about someone else's? George Coventry bikes in any kind of weather to help raise money for Rett syndrome. Marcus Wolf has George's story.
I do it. I get up early, and it feels good to do it. It feels good to be able to know that an exertion is going towards something that is important.
This is the story of how one 5-year-old girl's disability inspired George Coventry to raise money for her cause.
Kevin Morton, my boss. This child, unfortunately, has been diagnosed with Rett.
Rett syndrome is a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it's caused by a mutation in the MECP2 gene, which is located on the X chromosome. And so essentially what it does is it causes issues with speech, with hand ability to use your hands. It can cause immobility, so lots of girls can't walk. It causes seizures, and it also causes girls to develop scoliosis and basically just contorts of the body.
So I took it upon myself to decide to do something zany and bike 500 miles over the winter and have people at work sponsor me and help and raise money for Rett.
Kevin Morton, being a ref, started the charity Ref for Rett to raise money and awareness for the disability and his daughter Elle.
I'm a referee in junior hockey. I mean, I've been a referee for over 20 years now, so it just kind of clicked that it was Ref for Rett. And I mean,
hockey game.
Yeah, you went to a hockey game. And Lori and I talked about it, and it was, well, how can we gained some momentum doing this referette, and I mean, we decided that every game that I'm going to referee, I'll donate $20 to the Ontario Rett Syndrome Association, and then it just kind of snowballed it from there.
I mean, what it's like to live with every day is that she's 5.5, but you can't just send her to go to the bathroom on her own because she can't maneuver her clothing. She can't go to the fridge and grab a glass of juice like some of the other kids her age could.
As we go through our lives and we see different individuals with different challenges, we don't often have the time to place ourselves in their position for very long. So myself, I feel that, you know, when it's easy to bike when it's easy weather, and it's hard to bike when it's not easy weather. When it's raining, when it's bad. And that's something that, for those people that have the challenges, whatever it may be mental or physical, they don't have the choice. They do not have the choice. Every day they have to fight that same fight. So, to try to put your mind in that mindset, to force yourself to not have an option, and to, you know, you have to go, and no matter how crazy it is, that puts you in that mindset, at least for a moment in time, where you can appreciate how their mind has to work, and make them still smile, and make them still smile.
If you would like to make a donation, please go to www.refforret.com. For Spoke TV, I'm Marcus Wolf.
That's all we have for you this week. I'm Daryl Vandenberg.
And I'm Nicole Picton. For more local and campus news, check out spokeonline.com.